Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Echo Aftab. In my today's session, we are going to start with something new. We are going to understand about the place where we produce goods. So my next topic is production analysis. Myself Aftab Bhai. So let us start with what is production. Friends, as you can see on the screen, there is a barren land. So on this land, I will construct a factory where I want to produce certain goods. So you can see the factory, and inside the factory you can see there is a machine and there is a technician who is working on the machine. So this is happening inside the factory. And having understood this thing, so if I say the first thing that we saw was land, and on the land there was a building, and then the next thing that we saw was there is a labor who is working on the equipment which is called as machinery, that is the capital for us. And to take care of all these things, to organize these things, there is organization. So you can see there is land over here. So this land is there, which is in fixed supply. There is a building which is constructed on this land. There is a labor, there is a capital equipment, and there is organization. So friends, what is this land? This land is the free gift of nature. We have not produced it, it is available to us by nature. So the supply cannot be increased or decreased, only its ownership rights can be changed from one person to another person. Then there is capital. What is capital? Capital is called as the man-made means of production. So capital is used to produce other goods, but this capital is made by man-made means of production, that is what is capital. What do you mean by labor? Friends, labor is a person who exerts his physical and mental work, that is what is labor, who delivers physical work or his mental work. And then there is organization, which is engaged in planning, organizing, coordinating, staffing, recruiting, budgeting, etc., etc., etc. There are many roles that the organization plays. So these four things that we understood: land, labor, capital, and organization, friends, we call these things as factors of production. So what do you mean by factors of production? Factors of production are the factors who help in the process of production. So what is this factors of production? The other name for factors of production is, we also call them as inputs. So this factors of production becomes our inputs. Now you can see, when I speak about these inputs, what role they play. So all the things that comes into the production process which is required to produce goods, it may be raw materials, labor, capital, electricity, water, it may be working capital, it may be fixed capital, it may be financial capital, or it can be organization, it can be building, and all those things comes into the bracket of inputs. So these inputs are channeled, and there is a process that is happening, and you can see the circle, all these inputs are posted over there for us to get something, and what we get is the final thing over here, which will be falling in the box. So you can see what is this process. All these inputs come together and they start working. So when these things are put on work, you can see there is certain mechanism, certain machinery that is operating over here. So what is the role of this machinery? It wants to make use of the inputs and give us something in return, and this is what is our output. So inputs are getting converted into output, and there are different units of this particular commodity that has been produced, and this is all happening through a process. So this is what is called as production. So what is production? Production is the process of turning raw materials or inputs into finished goods or outputs. This is what is called as production. Having understood what is production, let us move ahead. In other words, production is transformation of physical inputs into physical output. That is what is the meaning of production. But friends, mind you, in economics, production is having a wider meaning. Production in economics also covers rendering of services such as transportation services, financing services, and marketing, etc., etc. So when you speak about production in economics, it is with regard to production of goods and services. That is what is the meaning of production. Now, having understood what is production, let us see what is production function. The functional relationship between physical inputs and physical output of a firm is known as production function. So production function is telling us about that there is some relationship, there is some technical relationship between physical inputs and physical output, and that technical relationship is called as production function, which is denoted as Q is equal to F of A, B, C, D. Now what is this A, B, C, D, friends? This A, it may be land, B, it can be called as labor, C is our capital, D is organization, and then there are many other factors such as technology, knowledge, and all those things that are playing very important role in the production process. So this is what is called as production function. When you speak about production function, basically there are two types of production function. One is called as short run production function, and the other is called as long run production function. So before going into understanding the types of production function, I would like to introduce you the concept of time element in production. What is this time element? So when you speak about time element, there is something called as short run. So here you can see, going back to the previous example, we are having a land and a building. So what is happening? This land is fixed and we are having one firm, you can say plant 1, and along with this land and building we have, let us say, 1 unit of machinery, equipment. There is 1 unit of machinery. So in the short run, if I say Q is equal to F of land, capital, labor, organization. So here you can see the land is fixed in quantity, capital is fixed in quantity, organization is static. Now if you want to increase the production, what will happen? So to produce any good, the 4 factors of production that we require is, for any production activities, as you can see here, what we require is, we require a labor. So here in this case we are having 1 unit of labor working on this 1 unit of machinery in a given building. So this is what is happening. Now in this situation, if you want to increase the output of the firm, what you will have to do? You cannot buy more land, you cannot go on for immediately expanding your building, you cannot immediately invest huge amount of machinery to buy 1 more unit of that equipment. So what you will do is, instead of expanding these things, what you will do is, you will keep this factor as variable, the labor. So what you will do, in order to increase the output, you will employ 1 more unit of labor. So this becomes our 2 units of labor. Let us say this 1 unit of labor, first labor, he was producing X units of goods. Now if you want to increase the output, you will employ second laborer. So second laborer, what will you do? Along with the first laborer, X units, he will contribute his output, and that will be Y units. Further, if the firm wants to increase its output, what it can do is, it will go on for employing the third laborer. So third laborer, if he joins the team, what will happen? X is producing, this first laborer is producing X amount, second laborer is producing Y amount, and third laborer is producing Z amount. So all together they are producing some amount of goods. Let us call it as T. So this is the total output produced by these three laborers on a given machinery in a given plant on a given fixed land area. So this is what is short run. So what do you understand in this short run, friends? Here few factors of production are fixed and few factors of production are variable. You can see here the labor is variable factor, whereas all other factors of production we have kept it as fixed factors of production. So this by definition you can see only the labor is increasing but other factors of production is constant. So short run matlab, short run is a time period where few factors of production are fixed and few factors of production are variable. So this is what, so here when Q is equal to F of land, labor, capital, organization, land is fixed, capital is fixed, organization is fixed, only the variable factor is labor. So this labor can be varied. So when this is happening, it is called as short run. When all the factors of production are fixed and it cannot be changed, it is normally it happens in very short run, but that is not the area of concern for us. So in the short run, if the firm wants to increase its output, increase its production, the only way it has is to increase the purchase of raw materials and increase the working capital and employ more number of laborers to produce the or to increase the output. So one very important thing that we need to keep in mind when we speak about short run is short run does not refer to a specific duration of time. यहाँ पे time की जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, we are not speaking about clock and we are not speaking about calendar, 1 month or we can say 1 year, एक हफ्ता, 2 हफ्ते, 4 weeks. This is not that we are speaking. So in short run, we are not speaking about time duration. We are least bothered about the calendar. Then what we are bothered about is we are bothered whether the factors of production are fixed and variable or what. This is what is the defining factor of short run production function. In short run, calendar is not seen, लेकिन क्या देखते हैं हम, whether the factors of production are divided as fixed factors and variable factors. When this bifurcation is there between factors of production, it becomes our short run. Why it is so important, friends? Because this short run, अभी ये जो है, this one building, this given amount of land, this one machinery and this few laborers, they can be working on the same status for 10 years, or it may be the case for one firm for 1 year, or for few firms within 6 months they'll think of expansion. So they may not expand for 10 years, they may expand after 1 year or they may expand after 6 months. So this expansion activities of the firm where the factors of production will expand, will increase, that is what becomes our next time period, which we call it as long run. So long run में क्या हो रहा है? You can see here, from one plant we have moved on to second plant, we have extended our land area. From one machinery we are having now 2 more machineries, and from 1, 2 and 3 laborers we have hired many laborers. So this all things are happening in the long run. So long run is a time period where all factors of production are variable. So Q is equal to F of land is variable, labor is variable, capital is variable and organization is variable. So this expansion, so if this is what, let us say our initial case, short run में only this was the case, this was the case and these 3 laborers were there. Now after let us say 6 years, now for 6 years this was the status. In the 7th year the firm thinks of expanding its business and constructing one more unit, one more plant for production activities. So this movement will take place. This can run for 1 year, the construction of this new building, and in that buying additional equipments may go on, and a particular time will come where you have finished constructing the second unit, you have already bought this additional equipments and you are ready for production. So this may go for 1 year. So this activity of expansion may go for 1 year. So 6 years has become your short run. This 7th year has become your long run. And how far is this long run? The moment you start using or start producing in this building, where the expansion activities have stopped. It may stop in 1 month if you are quick enough to construct this thing, or if you take 1 year to construct this thing, then the long run will end. And what will happen is, the moment you start production, you will be entering into the next phase of short run. So where again all these things will be there constant and few factors will be variable factors. So what is long run? Long run is a time period where all factors of production are variable. So this time period where we are expanding the business from one plant to second plant, from one machinery to 3 machinery, hiring more labor, is what is called as long run, and it has nothing to do with calendar. Remember, clock and calendar doesn't play any role when we speak about time element in production. So थोड़े लोग बोलते हैं कि 6 months is small period, short run, then 1 year to 5 years is long run. No, all those things are not related to production analysis. So it is purely based on whether your factors of production are variable or are fixed. So in the long run, there is no distinction between fixed factors of production and variable factors of production. This is about time element. Now going back to types of production function, we are having something called as short run production function. In this short run production function, it is also called as production function with one variable factor. So Q is equal to F of labor and capital, where capital is constant and labor is variable. So this is short run production function. To understand short run production function, that is keeping few factors of production constant and increasing the amount of variable factor, what will happen to the output? If you want to know this thing, for that particular purpose we study something called as law of variable proportions. And the next is long run production, which is called as production function with two variable inputs. यहाँ पे क्या होगा? Q is equal to F of labor and capital, and both are variable. So that becomes our long run production function. And here comes into picture one topic which is called as isocons. Isocons is very similar to indifference curves. Indifference curves speak about consumption, isocons speaks about production. So we need to understand about isocons. After understanding about isocons, the theory as to what is happening to the output in the long run when all the factors of production are variable factor, we understand the law of returns to scale. So यहाँ पे the things become more progressive and mature. Here we understand something called as Cobb-Douglas production function, which we already understood in mathematics series. Then we'll understand constant elasticity of substitution production function, again which is with regard to two inputs which are variable in nature, and many more things comes under long run production function. So there are two important laws when we speak about production analysis. First is law of variable proportions, and second is law of returns to scale. So with this, friends, I stop the introduction part of production analysis with what is production, what is the time element, importance of time element in production, and which are the two types of production function and two important theories that we will be dealing in production analysis. In my next class, I will start with what is law of variable proportions. So till then, friends, as usual, thank you very much for being with Understanding Economics with Professor Aftab. So see you soon. Stay tuned, stay happy, be safe. Tata, bye bye till my next class.